everybody, my name is Chris Burns. I am the artist and creator of Chikara Power of God. And in this brand new YouTube series, I'm going to be showing you guys how to become a manga artist, step by step, starting with how to come up with an idea and ending with how to get published. So without further ado, let's get started, everyone. Intro! Hey everybody, my name is Chris Burns and welcome back to the 4th episode of How to Be a Manga Artist. Now before I start this video, I want you guys to make sure you have watched episodes 1 through 3 because those episodes have some really important information on getting started with your story and designing your characters before you get into this process. So make sure you go watch the first 3 episodes. If you have followed my series so far from episodes 1 to 3, you have already designed amazing stories, amazing characters, and you're ready to actually start putting your story together and coming up with your very first manga page. Now, before you do that, there's a lot of information I have to give you guys before you actually start designing your manga page. That way you guys can start off really strong and avoid a lot of mistakes that beginners make when coming up with their manga pages. So first things first, the size of your paper. Now, depending on what type of book you're making, whether it's in a Western style comic book or an Eastern style manga book, there are 3 sizes you can actually do depending on what type of story you're trying to create. If you are making an American style comic book or maybe even an American styled manga book and you want it to be really big and maybe it's even in full color, you might want to stick to the size of 8.5 by 11, or you can bring that down a little bit smaller to maybe 7 by 10. With that being said, keep in mind that when you draw your panels and you are creating your manga pages, you can scale these as big as you need them to on the last step. And I will show you guys how, so you don't have to really worry about sizing too much when actually drawing the pictures. Now, if you are making more of traditional manga, even though you're either in the States or you might even be from Japan or from the East, you would do 2 different sizes. You could either do 6 by 9, which is what I personally use for my series, or you could do 5 by 7.5 inches, which is the standard manga size that they use in Japan. I want to follow up with that by saying that if you are working traditionally, you do not want to get smaller paper. You actually want to go either 8.5 by 11 or even bigger to make sure your art is well detailed. That way if you scan it in, you can always shrink it down to the appropriate page size you're looking for. But if you are working digitally, you'll either be working with PX, which just means pixels, or you'll be working with IN, which will be inches. Or if you want to work with centimeters, you can do that too. Now we're going to dive into Clip Studio Paint so I can show you guys firsthand how I set up my manga pages in small settings that will help you out in the long run when exporting and getting your pages together for your book. Now that we're in Clip Studio Paint, the user interface is very simple. It's much like any other drawing software you would use. So use what you're comfortable with. But for me personally, we're using Clip Studio Paint because that's what I do all my illustrations and manga art in. So first things first, I want to make a new file. So I go up to the file section in the user interface and click new, and it brings up this menu. From here, there is a lot of settings and a lot of things you can do to customize your manga or comic pages to your preference. First, I want to say Clip Studio offers tons of presets for your comic pages and even user interfaces for the comic pages and boundary boxes. That way you can customize your page to whatever you need it to be, however your workflow is. Make it super personal. For me, I already have a preset, but I will show you guys that I'm going to put my page at 6 by 9 just to start this off. From here, I like to adjust my DPI. DPI actually just means dot per inch. As you can see, they have tons of numbers, but I like to keep mine at 350 DPI so that way my images stay very crisp and very colorful if I'm doing illustrations, and just very professional looking for the exporting process. Once you have your DPI set and how big you want your paper to be, you just hit OK and you're ready to start on your first official manga page. Now, before you start actually working on your manga page, you should already have a script written out from your early on process of writing your story for your first chapter. That way you have a good idea of how you want this first page to start off for your story. Once you have your notes out, whether it be dialogue, a quick summary, or even full-on panel descriptions, go ahead and have that next to you and you're ready to start sketching. So as you can see, I'm getting a rough sketch down of my page. What do I want the characters to do? Who is talking? Is it just one character? How is this going? For you, it's going to be the first page, so it's going to be setting your scene for your story. Whether it's at a high school, whether it's in a faraway land, a castle, a corporate building, you want to make sure you set that scene in the first page so that way your audience knows this is where the story is starting out, taking place, and this is where we are for the beginning of the story. Now that you have your sketch done, whether it's your first page or if you're already into your story and you're working on another page, This is where you begin. You have your sketch. For me, if I want to refine things, Clip Studio offers tons of 3D models to help with anatomy and finalizing my sketch to make sure my characters or scenery look the best that they can be for that page. So the next step, paneling. This is when you start to add in your panel boxes, finalizing your panel boxes, I should say, to start making your page look more professional. And Clip Studio has two ways that you can do this. So in Clip Studio, a very easy way to come up with panels for your series is to go over to the sidebar here and click the box icon, and you can start making squares with different sizes and different widths for any color you want. But for now, I say stick with black for your basic panel outlines. But if you want to check out some of the presets that Clip Studio offers, you can go over to the manga section like on the screen, and you can check out the wide variety of different manga panel presets that they have. You can drag that over into your project file, and you can even customize the boxes if you need to, cut them up or even resize them or even delete some if you don't like the way the preset is, to make sure the boxes are right where you want them to be. So I went ahead and turned off the sketch layer for this page. We're just seeing the panels now. And I'm going to show you guys how to export your pages, so that way once we get into the later videos, you'll already know how to export your stuff. But don't worry, I'll review it in those videos too, just so you have a refresher. So in the event that you finished up your page and you have everything lined up that you want it to be, this is the export settings that I suggest you do. In Clip Studio, there isn't an export button, but in Adobe there is, so look for that one. So when you're ready to save your work and put this in a folder for your book, working digitally of course, you go up to File and you hit Save As. You name the file whatever you needed to name it. In this case it'll be page 1, and you'll go down and you'll see a bar that'll say Clip Studio Paint File. That just means it's a Clip Studio file. You want to make sure you save that as a file, just so you need to change anything, you can come back into this file in Clip Studio and work on it. But I'm going to show you guys how to export it for its final picture piece. So where you see the Clip Studio bar, you want to click that and make sure you save it as a PNG. Do not save it as a JPEG. When I was first getting into digital and working in manga, I saved a lot as a JPEG, but I didn't know until I got to college that JPEGs cannot be scaled with their quality. They'll get blurry and they'll get pixelated and it won't look good. Make sure you save it as a PNG, because a PNG basically means you can resize it to however big you need it to be and it will not lose its quality. So let's say you're working on a 6:9 and you want to scale up to an 8.5:11. If it's a PNG, you can do that and it'll look just as good as you drew it. Alright guys, this has been episode 4 on how to be a manga artist. Today was all about paneling and getting your pages set up digitally working in Clip Studio Paint or any other drawing software that you might be working on. Next episode, we're going to be talking about finding your inking style and how that works, because it's a big process and it's going to be really fun. Make sure you guys check out episodes 1 through 3 if you have not already, to get a refresher and a crash course from the very beginning if you're a beginner manga artist. With that being said guys, I will catch you guys for the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to share this video to anyone that you might know that wants to be a manga artist. Peace guys.